Good evening, Star Wars fans. Coming to you live for another exciting edition of Holotheatre. As you can see, I'm joined by not one, but two members of the illustrious new group, New Allies. I'm joined by the one and only Matt Lutz,
Hello.
defeater of Bastion, conqueror of men, and Bill Kafer, who beat some scrub. Yeah, we got an exciting
That's me.
episode tonight. Bill and Matt have come on. Matt mostly to talk about some of the things that are him and some other members of the PC are doing. That a lot of interesting things coming on. Bill and I are going to be talking about some other special stuff, and not only that, but we're going to be joined by we have a clip later on of Kendall Hallman, Matt's co-host for the Bad Debt Breakdowns, who recently interviewed Kevin Jaap. He's the guy who handles like all the foils and everything. So it's going to be a pretty exciting show tonight. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut out a few things, but hey, we got to keep it under an hour, right, guys?
Right.
So, Matt,
I like that you've now done enough episodes to do a clip show.
I think between the two of us, we have enough episodes for a clip show. Like, you guys have been stepping up recently as either co-hosts or special guests, so I'm glad to see that. But, yeah, Matt, so you have something that you really want to talk about. That's why you're sitting on here today, correct?
I'm here, yeah. Myself and Ryan Surson, who was last week's guest.
Yeah.
Conveniently after last week, he and I were asked to take part in a primer task force, and we're given some mod authority over the deck discussion forum and the primer and tutorial subforum, with the idea, especially since set 13 is about to drop, we've got the erratas out, Worlds is coming up, of promoting people not only writing full primers on decks, like what we have. I've done one for Hyperdrive, done one for Huntdown, and then we have some older primers out there for the CCT 12 card. There's one for Cold Allies. There's one for Court, for example, as well as the deck list reports that Tom Haid Xanth was promoting and offering some incentives for people doing a kind of a snapshot. Here is what my deck is, and here's how it functions. Kind of a nice snapshot of the meta, and just promote that type of content, which I think we could use more of on the forums. For example, like MHT just posted a kind of a mini, some would call it like a deck tech type discussion of his Throne Remains Guts deck that he used in the finals of Texas Mini Worlds. And so what we've done so far is in the primer sub forum, Ryan put together a nice FAQ as to kind of what we're doing, a nice little quick read, as well as some formatting information. And then what I've also put together, and also sticking at the top of the page, is a kind of a template. So you can just quote that post, grab all the formatting, the spoilers, the bullets, the bolding, etc., and then put that into yours. Then what you produce, looks nice, looks pretty, especially with the spoiler tags, condensing, all the characters you could want in a deck down to, just a little snippet. And so what Ryan and I are doing is we're going to go through all the old primers and deck list reports and add that formatting to them as well as Ryan put together a nice list, kind of an index of all the primers and all the deck list reports that we've got. And so we're going to be reaching out to people who either have, have expertise in a deck. Like Adam Fletcher, for example, posted his WAP list that he used in the OCS. We were going to reach out to him to see if he'd be interested in writing a deck list report or a primer on that we have a plan objective, because he's kind of the guy you go to for it. And just promoting more of that type of content, because I think that'd be helpful for new players. It is a nice kind of historical record of what the meta was like. When I came back in the game, I've read a lot of deck lists, but actually like understanding why, what cards did you choose and why you made them. I remember looking at, Johnny Chu's ping profit that he had for Worlds 2017, thinking,
Yeah.
Why do you need free ride combo in here? That doesn't make any sense. It seems like you could cut that card.
Mm-hmm.
But now, of course,
No, you
I know
cannot.
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't cut
no,
that.
you got to leave it in there.
So while we're so you say all this is on the forums, and you know what? Let's actually bring up that forum page, and you can talk about like some of the stuff that's on it.
Right. And I've actually got that up myself as well. The other thing that we also added is Lenny Rubin updated his Shields primer for current meta, as well as with the new shields that are coming out with VSET 13.
Okay.
I think shields are so that's stickied at the top of
So
that sub forum.
So it's this one right here.
I'm not watching the Twitch page, but yeah, it's in the primers and tutorials sub forum. So you'll see we've got a couple of stickies there at the top.
Yeah.
The defensive shields primer, and then the template and the index.
Okay, so yeah.
So that's the type of content that we want to be promoting. People not only putting together, but then providing a resource for new players who are coming back into the game to figure out, I like the profit objective. I liked it 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. What does it look like now? And so they'll be able to find.
I think that's one of the biggest things. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bill.
I was gonna say that's one of the biggest things I see. I kind of trawl around on like the Star Wars Facebook, the Reddit, the Discord every once in a while, and a lot of times when you see returning players, that's kind of what they're asking. They say, "I used to play this deck 20 years ago. What does it look like now?" And this is a great avenue to say, "Here you go."
Right. And I think it's a lot easier than just pointing them to, here's a deck list that Justin Desai played. For example, like the profit list he played in the Outrider Cup earlier this year.
Okay.
So that's kind of the goal that what we're doing for it.
Yeah, and I'm noticing like there's a lot of like different decks and everything, but like I know there are some missing ones, and as you saw, as we can see, there is a request for them. So these are like, is this like people saying this is what I want to see, or is this like something is this something like you and Ryan are asking for? Because I see like a lot of them, like at the top we can see Sean Dixon. He's saying that he wants to see like Agents of the Black Sun and Quiet Mining Colony.
Yeah, that's the old primer request thread. If you go into the introduction and the primer index, Ryan did a nice little index up there of kind of all the kind of current platforms, from
I see what you're saying.
Everything that we see, plus linking them to what they are, where they are, and it kind of gives you an indication. Like, there might be 20 decks for each side of the force, but there might be only 5 or 6 per side from like a deck list report or a primer. So if you want to play something outside of that, you got to do a lot more homework.
Yeah, and I will say this: I do like how there is the Twin Sons of Tatooine, which is the Dark Side demo, and the Light Side demo, City in the Cloud. I do like how there are those.
Right.
So I like how those are there, and yeah, I'm noticing like a lot of like the bigger stuff, like ISB. We do have an Agents primer. I noticed like there are. It's in the works, so I like how there is in the works, but I like how we have a startup on it. But I will say this: I like how you guys haven't ignored decks like Rescue the Princess that aren't necessarily good.
Right, and I think if another way, the thing that we might add to this is, for example, I know Ryan was keeping an index of all the game reviews that Chris Gogolin had put together. I know there's an RTP list, a 12-card one that uses how to begin into this mess to cycle cards through.
Okay.
In there, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, the plan is, figure out who are the people, who are the experts, if you will, on these decks, and reaching out to those people, see if they'd be interested in writing, a primer or a deck list report from a list that they recently played.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see like maybe a Justin Desai. Like if you watched the stream earlier today, I was watching Justin and Greg play, you saw him play ISB with slip sliding away, running the 500 Republica,
Right.
which a lot of people said was going to be bad, but it still had a lot of that same momentum that ISB had. So I would love to see him come in and say, why did you start this? Why did you not go with the Coruscant system? Why did you just not go with the 2-0 site like you normally would and just go with your standard prepared defensive start?
Right. Yeah, and I think that this is a good time for that kind of thing, because we're going to have a new meta with VSET 13 plus Worlds coming out, and then people can take the list that they played at Worlds, and then explain here's why I played why I played ISB as my dark side list for day one of Worlds, or why I played TTO, or pick your list if you will.
Yeah. And I like how you have yours right at the top, CRG's Prophet, Death by 1,000 Cuts.
Yeah, that's a deck list report I did for Tom Hade.
Okay.
And it looks like that's there just because that's the most recent post on it. As you see, the forum itself doesn't get a whole lot of action, if you will. Like even my Hyperdrive primer, the last post on there is from, looks like May 11th when I did my last update to it. From a post perspective, even though I've edited the thing 100 times and maintained a game library on there as well.
Yeah, I mean, this, for those who are older players like Bill and myself, this has brings me back to like the old deck tech days when you could go on and be like, here's my deck, here's why I play it, if you have any suggestions, go ahead, or there's a lot of stuff like that. According to Jared Napolitano, it's going to change. Forum going to be hopping. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think this is going to be a great thing. I would love to see like, not like, I mean, something like the old Deck Tech. Bill, like, were you were around with Deck Tech, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
13-year-old Bill Caper put in great lists for people to take a look at.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some of the old deck tech stuff the other day, trying to figure out like, what decks can I put together to teach the kiddo as we move past Premier and New Hope. And I found some like old Mike Kessling lists from when he was like 13.
Mike Kessling lists, why? But
they're pretty solid.
I like this. I'm glad to see that we have two individuals, Ryan and yourself, stepping up to do something like this. I know that this is a lot of work. The organization plugging it on there is a lot, but if you think that you're good at the deck, get on there and post it. I mean, you don't have to submit it to Matt and Ryan, or do you want them to submit it to you?
No, they don't need to submit it. People don't need to submit it to us. What we want to do is, there's plenty of examples on the forum, within the forum itself, of good primers and good deck list reports. And then providing the formatting there, I think that'll help guide people of kind of the expectations that we want for these. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to create high quality content to educate experienced players and NARPs alike.
So if you do want to get a primer made, talk to Matt or Ryan. Again, Matt is CRG on the forums. You're pretty much CRG on everything, right?
I am. The only place I'm not is my Twitter handle is Crazy Runner Guy. But CRG everywhere else.
And I think Ryan is R. Saracen, so they're pretty easy to find. They pretty much use their handles for everywhere. They're like me. They're I would like to see a Taco Bill deck. I know that you new Allies guys stick together and talk a lot about the decks and stuff, so maybe we have like a new Allies.
We'll see after Worlds. We can't just be, giving those away for free beforehand.
Well, what's the cost? Come on. I'll make it worth your while. I could talk to the marketing guy.
I'm not at liberty
to
do justice. I've said too much already.
Okay. I see how it is. So yeah, I mean, this looks really good. I like it. I like it a lot. I want to see more. I want to see stuff like this all over the forums. So, but speaking of tournaments, we got to talk about a tournament that you're actually in. One that you recently propelled your team into the finals yesterday. I'm talking about the European championships that are going on right now.
The online Euros, and now my team has to play Bastion, Silverglen, and MHT. So, MHT probably the hottest player right now.
Proverbial dream team.
Yeah, virtual dream team.
So you ended up beating Fox in who was team Frost, as I'll call them. I don't want Frostwoozle, as I was told yesterday. You guys, you're on the team. H-Town Crew with Mighty Mall and Alex One.
Right. Yeah, Alex reached out to me about whether I joined him, and Mighty Mall is a buddy of his from Croatia, and Alex was one of the guys I used to play a bunch when I was used to wake up at like 4 a.m. for no random reason. So what am I going to do before the kiddos wake up? I used to get a game or two in, and he is 7 hours ahead of me. So it'd be like I'm in early morning and he's playing over lunchtime or something. And so he reached out to me, and going well so far. Now we're in the finals against 3 great players.
Yeah, a German, an Englishman, and a Canadian walk into a bar. I'm sorry, but that's got to be one of the best team names ever.
I like it. A lot. So Mighty Mall is our open player. Okay. Alex One, he did really well in the Jawa Cup, is our Jawa player. And then I'm playing the goofy virtual reality format, which go ahead.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So
the first thing about that is I direct folks back to Bill's kind of primer, if you will, since we talked about primers a bunch.
Virtual.
It was virtual primer from a couple of weeks ago. But the VR rules are it's Highlander. Mm-hmm. So 1 copy of each card. You cannot use any rare cards, but all virtual cards are allowed, regardless of the underlying card. You also can't use any premiums. So, for example, Han Chewie Falcon from Reflections 3 is banned, but Han Chewie Falcon Virtual is permitted. And Bill went through there's some weird like mirrors or non-mirrors that are banned or not banned from one side of the Force. So, for example, Imperial Command is banned, Rebel Leadership V is permitted.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a weird. The VR format's just weird. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Just because it's a different. I've been looking at VR lists for 3 weeks now, and so looking at an open meta is just confusing to me. I got it. Once this is done, I'll have to shift back to Worlds.
Yeah.
You're going to look at one of our decks and be like, you can't play 2 of these. What are you doing?
I was actually doing that in prep for MHT today, thinking I can't play. I would love to play 2 of a certain card, but I can't.
Yeah. So you like I said, you just played in that. You ended. What deck did you play for the VR?
So I in my 3 rounds for light side, I played ROPS, Map, and Map. And then I played for light side OA, Legend, and Legend.
Okay.
Is my 6 decks. Against I don't remember the trying to think back to my first opponents. First was Theron 361, which is Brett Reynolds out of Florida.
Yeah.
Second round was. I don't recall, and then yesterday was Fox.
Yeah, and like we said, you were it was basically came down to yesterday, a winner take all. If you won, your team is in the finals. If Fox won, his team was in the final, and you ended up winning that match, correct?
Yeah, it won the first game +6, and then Fox conceded. I think like late side turn 10. When his timer was up at about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
locked up.
Yeah, it got like his clock was running a little bit faster than yours, but I like how he played court without scum because you can't play scum.
Right.
But at the same time, he was running cards like Darth Vader in the tie, the virtual tie. He ran like Dooku, stuff like that. It was an interesting build on that
Yeah,
deck because it's not like your normal court deck.
yeah,
Vicar
we would
would
have
be
been.
proud.
Yes, Vikram will be proud.
Yeah.
The kind of the court mains type thing, which is what he played in round 2. Something similar to it versus Kessling.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like he had way more space than I thought he would have. Dooku's just a tank of a character.
Yeah.
Aurica V is rough to deal with a legend because they're going to retrieve one every turn. It was a great fun match.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think
we
this
just
was a
gotta
great
wait.
event. I mean, still going on, obviously, but like a great way
Yeah.
for some of the European players to maybe play against some of the U.S. players that they don't get to play against very often, especially with no travel this year going on.
Right.
So hopefully that will carry over into Worlds as well. Maybe we'll get which we'll talk about a little bit later, I believe.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
Right.
that. But for right now, we're actually gonna shift gears. Like I said, we have an interview from Kendall Hallman, who also, along with Matt, they handle their bad deck breakdown stuff. So Kendall recently had the honor of interviewing one Kevin Jaap. Again, he's the guy over in Europe who he's part of the graphics design team. I want to say he's the leader essentially of the graphics design team at this point. So if you like all the images that the PC is putting out on the cards, send a big thank you to him and his team. And he also is the one who does a lot of the foils. So all that cool swag that we get at tournaments, in person, out of person, online and everything. Kevin's pretty much in charge of all of that. So it's going to be, so we got like a 15-minute interview with Kendall. And then Bill and I will come back. I think Matt's going to step out for the evening. And then we'll just have Bill and myself on for the rest of the night. So we'll be back in a little bit.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt. Take care.
Sir.
Hello, I am here with Kevin, aka Darth Huge. How you doing?
The one and only. Not too
Okay.
bad. Not too bad. Go on then. Try my surname.
All right.
I want to
Turn this sound.
All right. So you are one of the architects behind this this European team event. Why don't you tell us about the event?
Yeah. I think last year, last year, the year before, I was promoted in Europe, and me and Tamas, Mr. Menzel, our Euro Emperor, decided to take a sabbatical and take a little bit of time away from the game, instead of burning himself out. So we promoted Tamas to be in the Supreme Leader Tamas in Europe, and I was voted in as the Kylo Ren, Kylo Jaap, as he calls me. So obviously we took the mantle of run some events. We were doing a lot before this was, and nothing that we weren't doing prior to Chris passing the baton over. And obviously with the big C hitting this year, the main event in Europe has always been European. There's everything we do builds up to this one thing. I don't know whether anybody has heard the stories from the European event. We hold it in a bar. It's by far the coolest event ever. And the way I can describe it to everybody is every September, October, I get to go on a week-long beer and cards pilgrimage to Germany. And all we do is drink and play cards. So it's brilliant. So back to this, we decided we need to do something this year for the Europeans. It was never going to happen. So Thomas, we had a voice chat and we decided we need to do an event, but it needs to be European-centric. And when I say European-centric, it needs to be something that the Americans would look at and go, yeah, that's definitely Europe. They're the only crazy people that will come up in an event. And because we are very team-orientated in Europe, it's easier for us because there's so many different nations that go and play in European. So we've got so many different languages, so many different styles, so many different a breeding pot, a mixture of everything all come together. We have so many different teams. There's Team Wales, which I'm one of the founding members of. There's Team Copenhagen. Motto is they don't die, they just go and respawn at the bar. There's the Dutch guys would go all the same matching jerseys, same tops. There's the team from Poland that all have the same tops as well. So it's so much of a team orientated event to us anyway, that me and Thomas will sat down and we said, well, why not? Let's do a team event.
Mm-hmm.
So we batted a few ideas around. Originally, I wanted to go for 4, but 4 players would probably be a bit too much.
Right.
Especially with the OCS finals coming up and all the other things. Worlds is not so far away. So we thought that we had to make it a little bit more. So we settled on 3.
Mm-hmm.
Tamas wanted to make sure we didn't exclude the Americans, even though it was mainly for the European guys. We wanted to include them a little bit, so extra bonus points for if you got an American player. And he set special rules on where you had to make sure there was different nationalities in your team.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only 2 teams that have don't have an American player in.
Yeah, there were about 6 of us that expressed interest. Well, I don't know about not having an American player, but there were 6 of us Americans that expressed interest.
Yeah.
And we didn't know Europeans, and Tomas made the call to let us form our own 2 teams. So,
to be quite honest, we were going to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just that we couldn't announce it to you to start with, because
Right.
we wanted to bridge the gap first. A lot of the American players did travel or have traveled over to Worlds or European or understand, and they've made friends, made teams, or bridged the gap already. So you were never going to be excluded.
I will say my teammate Joker King, up until just a couple weeks ago, was living in Ecuador, and in a few months is going to be in China. So even though he's currently in America, he's it's cool to see. And also, like, just I've played in a lot of American events. It's cool to see that I'm going to be able to play against some of the Europeans. Hopefully they don't make me play at like 2:00 in the morning.
Let's see what you say after you play the Europeans. Let's see the crazy deck choices that we make.
So what was the origin of the VR format? Were you involved in that?
Yes. So we sat down and we decided that one person would have to play open, full stop, because it's unfair to force everybody into a new format that we wanted to create, that people wouldn't be able to invest the time or the energy into building new decks and creating, because we wanted to create something that was kind of like drafting to us is amazing. I love drafting.
Mm-hmm.
Drafting is brilliant. And when you sat down with 6 people around you, you're having a whale of a time. You're passing really crappy cards over to somebody to your left or to your right, and it's hilarious. But then when you actually get to play the game, it's not so good, because it's kind of watered down Star Wars.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, okay, well, I wish I would have got this, or I really drafted the wrong things. I wasted half the day.
Right.
So to us, the team side of it was you had to be in a team, and in your team, you're going to go and start the melting pot of ideas VR. Okay, so we knew some person had to play the open, and then the natural progression from that is someone has to play Jawa, which is the next best thing to open. Which has been how long's Jawa been going for now? It's been at least 18 months.
Well, it's about a year. Yeah, because it was in response to it was after Worlds last year. Yeah. That's
it's
my
natural progression. So it's kind of like that's like Star Wars CCG's little brother, who's a lot of people invest a lot of time and energy into already, and they play it, which is brilliant. So the next was VR format. Now, Thomas certainly wanted to make the 1 card rule, the Highlander rule. That was a given point to start. After that, we thought, well, how can we really make everybody start to think about the format, about what they can choose and what they can't choose? Choosing 1 card is pretty easy. You get your throne room mains that Americans love. You draft in all the other cards out of it. You take all that you need to change, and you can kind of mesh certain 2 decks together. And we didn't want that. We wanted to really make the players think about it, or even as your team, that you've got your own private chat and you're messaging 5 or 6 messages a day. Oh, I want to do this. And then someone says, rare, dude. So we're like, okay, so we exclude the rares. That's the easiest one. If you exclude all the Decipher rares or the premium cards, which are all the powerful cards. However, to make it virtual reality, Thomas wanted to make sure everything the PC's done was included. So they're all the virtual sets. That's where the name came from, is the virtual reality. So yes, there are imbalances that we found. So the Rebel leadership for light side, the virtual, it's included, but the Imperial command is a Death Star rare. So we knew that there was going to be imbalance, but the creative side would be better if you catch the drift.
Right. Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with a format being a little bit imbalanced, especially for one event. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's something that I think about, with Jawa as well. Like, there were conversations about, because Jawa, we want to cut the open, the top open decks out. But a lot of times there are conversations about, like, well, then this deck is going to be crazy overpowered in Jawa or whatever. And it's like, that's fine, because that means that, finally Watto has a home, or Hyperdrive has a home, or whatever.
Fits in.
Yeah,
Fits in,
yeah. Especially, and especially because it's for one event, and then the next event you change the rules.
Well, for this, the main thing we wanted to encourage was team participation. Again, going back to being in Europe, we're very team orientated. It's very regional, national orientated, national pride. All that type of thing goes into when we play Euros. And even when we're at European Championships, we run team events that coincide with the main event. So everybody on the Friday evening will get drafted into your own team. On the display board will have your name with your national flag behind it drafted down. So every time you win a match in the event, in the 8 game of the event, you'll win a point for your team, and there's prizes given away for that. So we are very team oriented. So it was a natural progression for us to include that into the VR format. So your team could be the drafted. Right.
So what you said, you mentioned Rebel leadership being a virtual card and everything. What do you think? What do you think are going to be the MVPs, the stars of the virtual format?
I knew you were going to ask. Right now, I don't know. It's kind of, because it's a new thing for everybody. I've not been able to sit down and invest. Me and Thomas didn't predict anything. We were just like a cat chasing the light. Right.
Like, you just set the rules. You just set the rules and hope for the best.
See what happens. And obviously, the feedback we were getting originally was the majority of no idea was virtual anyway. So a lot of the players, private messages, listen, guys. No idea is going to rule the roost. You need to do something about it. So we sat down, we talked about it. We said, yeah, okay, no, that's it. We just banned no ideas.
Yeah.
After the time I set a deadline of anybody has any issues with any formats, no, the deadline had gone. No idea was on the list. It was on the radar. So we banned no idea. But don't get me wrong. There is going to be other strategies or other decks out there that are going to be just as dominant in this format. It's going to be down to the players and the teams to find it.
Yeah.
If this format works, or if it's a one-off, that's fine. If it works, Thomas might run it next year at Europeans.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think no idea. The thing about no idea, it's not just that a lot of the cards are virtual, but also there's not a lot of you're not playing a lot of duplicates. I think most of the other virtual decks, you're playing a couple copies of Kylo Ren, or you're playing, or you're leaning on multiples of certain things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I asked the Holotheatre team if there's anything to make sure that I ask about.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite official alternate image players committee cards?
Oh, okay. It has
or
to
virtual
be official,
cards.
yeah?
It has to be official. Yes.
I like the Profundity.
The Profundity? Okay.
Yeah. I think that was given away as a top 8 prize in, was it last year or the year before? It must have been the year before. Profundity. That was, to me, really nice. Really nice.
All right. Well,
I wonder why they're asking these questions. You know the reason why they're asking these questions?
And then yeah. And then the last thing, and we'll wrap this up, because this is not an hour-long interview. This is just a little segment. I have a series of questions that I like to ask Star Wars card players when I interview them. These are based on the Inside the Actors Studio questions that James Lipton would ask at the end of the show. First, what is your favorite card?
my favorite card would be Into the Garbage Chute.
All right. What is your least favorite card?
My least favorite card, the card that I test the most, is Commander Wedge Virtual.
Commander Wedge Virtual. Okay. What kinds of cards sort of stimulate you creatively?
Outside of direct damage, anything that pings, anything for the light side, anything that retrieve.
All right. What kinds of cards make you want to quit?
Multiple Destiny adders, as in not the Destiny adders themselves, ones that add +1 or +2 to Destinies, there's stuff like that. Because if it's not printed on the cards, you got to keep track of it, and that's why I find that hard to especially when you're trying to teach people.
Okay, so like something like Anakin Skywalker.
Prime example: Anakin Skywalker and Rey are in a battle. Someone draws a Destiny 3, and you go, "Great, it's a 5," and they're like, "How's it a 5? Do you want a plain Destiny of 3?" Mm-hmm. Well, okay, let me teach you this.
What is your favorite Star Wars term?
Favorite Star Wars term would be a Welsh term, and it would be, and that's a term that we always make in a tournament whenever we've just messed up or we made a play that's awful.
All right.
Come to Europe, you'll hear that term a lot.
What opponent's deck do you love to play against?
What deck? What deck type or particular deck?
Just in general, in either one.
A hunt down deck.
Okay.
I love when I sit down and see a hunt down deck. I giggle because the Welsh guys, it's bread and butter is hunt down. So when we play regularly, that's all I get to test against.
Okay, so you're well prepared.
I love playing that game.
All right. What kind of deck do you hate to see?
Do I hate to see? If I was to play as of right now, when I went online on GAN and played, I would hate to see ISB, and I'd hate to see no ID.
I hear that. You're not alone there.
Can't wait for 30.
What Star Wars profession would you like to try?
I would be, if I could be a profession, I would be a smuggler.
Smuggler.
Right. Yeah, smuggler. Contraband.
Right. And what Star Wars profession would you not want to try?
Oh, ISB agent. Too many rules.
ISB agent, yeah.
Too many rules.
And finally, if God exists, what would you like to see him do with the future of the Star Wars CCG?
Make sure that the PC is steering straight and narrow, and they can continue the way they have done. 100%. The PC have done an awesome job. The volunteers that work for the PC that give hours away for free every single day, every single week, every single year is beyond belief. And there's a lot of people out there that do volunteer with the PC that don't get credit for it. And now they work in the shadows and they do things that can't be seen all the time. However, everybody that helps with the PC is amazing.
Agreed.
If I could segue as well, one little plug I want to make before we go anywhere.
Right.
If any of the American guys or any of the European guys want to make a donation to the Four Winds, which is the venue that we play at in Germany every year for the Europeans, feel free. There is a forum thread on the European Championships post at the top of the forums. Make a donation. We can't go there every year. We've been going to the same place since 2012. I know the Americans like to move around location to location. However, this place is like our unofficial sponsor. It's a bar for any of the Americans that haven't been there. It's the most cool Viking-esque medieval gaming bar. They hire for us free every year. They don't charge us a penny. All they do is they take a large amount of beer money off us. So if anybody, we can't get there this year. It's very, very upsetting that we can't get there this year. So if anybody wants to make a donation, I know Chris Gogolin is anybody in America that donate to Gogolin, then Chris Gogolin will pass it on to the Euro Emperor, and then we'll make sure that we can at least, because we can't be there in person, we can make sure that they get something.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Kevin. And
My
we'll
pleasure.
see you around.
Yeah, thanks, Kendall, for doing that interview and everything. Bill and I are back again. Matt had to leave us, so it's just the two of us tonight. But we still got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I think the biggest thing is that the PC has come out with a little bit more information regarding Worlds for this year. So let me just bring it up. Yeah, so as you can see, the PC tournament advocate, Scott Schoenthal. If you haven't met him, he's a great guy. Hopefully one day you will meet him.
Chris Schoenthal.
Chris Schoenthal. Yeah, that's what I said, right? Yeah, we'll go with that. So Worlds this year is going to be a little bit different. For day one, it's open to everybody. So we're actually it's going to be over the span of 2 weeks. And it's going to be 2 weekends. So it's going to be over 2 Saturdays and 2 Sundays. So day one is essentially going to be on December 5th and 6th. It's open to everyone, and they're going to be pods. So essentially, it's going to be just like Texas Mini Worlds. It's going to be
yeah.
What?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, they kind of cap their pods at 8, whereas we're trying to get the most balanced pods we can across the 4 pods. We may end up. I've talked to Chris about this. We may end up. We could contract a pod if maybe not enough people sign up for that pod, or we could even add a pod if it's a lot of people are signing up for the same time. We might split the pod right down the center.
Okay. And so you and Chris were pretty much the ones who worked together on this, correct?
So the tournament committee has been discussing. Now, see, I'm doing what you did. The tournament committee has been discussing this for about a month now, trying to figure out the best way to do this. And so, I mean, Justin is on there, Chris is on there. There's several other people on there, but one of the things they wanted to make sure was that we're getting balanced pods, not by like the level of play or the level of competition, but by the number.
Okay.
And that's especially important because we're doing something we've never done before, which is a hard cut at 4 and 2. So anybody on day one who goes 4 and 2 or better will make day 2.
Okay. So I like that. That makes a little bit more balance. So, and then day 2 is going to be the following week after that, correct?
Correct.
And
yeah, so day 2 will be that Saturday.
And how is that going to come together?
Excuse me, jeez. So basically, everybody who went 4 and 2 in one of the heats on day 1 is going to be put into the same tournament. You're going to carry your record forward. So if you went 5 and 1, you will start that tournament 5 and 1.
Okay.
I'll probably play somebody else who was 5 and 1. That's going to be a 4-game tournament starting. I think it's 10 o'clock Eastern, which is 4. No, that sounds way too wrong. At 4 p.m. Euro time, that's 7 a.m. West Coast time. It's going to be a 4-game tournament. And once we finish that up, it'll cut to top 8.
Okay, and then the top 8 is going to play that next Sunday, correct?
That'll be the 13th on the Sunday. That'll be top 8. That'll be pretty much what you're used to with top 8s now, right? So like random 1 through 4 seed will play random 5 through 8 seed. It'll play match play, and whoever wins is the world champion.
Okay. And then, as we can see on the post, players will be able to choose. They'll choose one dark side and one light side for each day. So you can switch between day 1, day 2, day 3. So unlike with Texas Mini Worlds, where you could switch it after every game, you're going to be switching after every day. If you want, essentially, correct?
And that kind of mirrors what, when Decipher had day 1, 2, and 3, that's what you could do as well. You could play a deck in day 1, you played it all of day 1, and then in day 2, you could play a different deck. Day 3, you can play a different deck.
Okay.
At least when I was playing in Decipher Worlds.
Okay. So yeah, if you're looking for Worlds information this year, if you just go onto the forums, as you can see, go onto upcoming major events, Worlds Championship. Again, it's under the tentative World schedule. If you don't want to play but you want to help out, we are looking for people who are interested in volunteering and stuff. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of information over the next couple months for Worlds. As we are releasing more information on it, again, just go to the forums. Stay tuned for Holotheatre. Any of the information we have, we'll be putting out via the forums and Holotheatre, as well as like Twitter, Slack, Facebook, all that stuff.
I do want to stress that it's a tentative plan still. We haven't finalized this. So if there's something you don't like about it or something you're questioning, please post. Please ask those questions. You can ask Chris Schoenthal or Scott Schoenthal, maybe his long lost half brother. I don't know who he is. You can ask me. I could forward that to the tournament committee. I'm sure you can talk to Scott. He can put you in contact with somebody as well.
Okay. So, and other ways, if you want to support the PC, you can always subscribe to the PC channels, the Twitch channels. I know a lot of people who are currently watching are subscribed. Another way to subscribe and save yourself some money is if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to the PC channel via that. It's free. You know, you can just go onto the forums if you want to look. Again, it's just Star Wars CCG, the game, resource section, and then voila, you can go on. You can see, like, you just follow the link, try Twitch Prime, and as you can see, just follow all the buttons. Everything's pretty laid out, so... And then...
Dan,
yeah,
what will I get for doing this?
What?
What will I get for doing this?
You will get some prizes. So, as you know, as you have multiple months of subscriptions, you get foils. Nice, cool foils. Don't think we have any examples, but, you know, some of them are right there. Actually, let's see if we have some examples. No, you know what? We don't have any examples. But, yeah, like, I know the 12-month is the foil map objective. That's a pretty cool one, right?
I like it. Map is a great deck.
Well, it was once a great deck. Now it's
VR format.
Yeah, it's good in the VR format. It's pretty good in Jawa too. So yeah, if there's a lot of good prizes, and yeah, as you can see,
you need to make map great again. That'd be great.
Yeah, we do need to make map better, and then easiest way. So every month it won't subscribe, so you'd have to renew it every month. And as you can see on the post, if you just put, like, if you have Google, if you use Gmail, you can easily just set, reminder for yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's really easy. I mean, you literally click 2 buttons to resubscribe.
Yeah, so if you want cool foil cards, like the map objective, I know the Grand Inquisitor's another one, Chopper, Ezra, stuff like that, they're all available essentially for you for free, just subscribing. And it's a great way to get the PC some money for wonderful content such as this, announcing Chris and Scott Schoenthal's World Tournament.
Bringing them back together for the first time in 20 years.
Right?
Long lost Scott Schoenthal.
Yeah. So, let's see. What else have we got to talk about today? We got a few more things to talk about. We do have a deck building contest. So, last week's deck building contest, for those who weren't aware, was to see who can stack the most cards on their cards. So, like grabbers, back to tank, I feel the conflict, whatever the dark side version of it is. We were looking for you to stack cards on your cards. And as we can see as we're scrolling down, David Woods was the individual who actually won. He was able to stack 22 cards on his stuff.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a third of a deck.
That is a third of a deck. So not only were they his cards, but they were also his opponent. So you can see like he was able to get stuff on. I can't. What's the
I
card,
can't
Bill?
think of the name either. I thought it was Your Destiny, but
No, Your
No, I
Destiny
don't.
is the other one that. But yeah, he was able to play that
That'd
card.
be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grabbers. I
Yeah,
see
a lot of
just
grabbers. He played Strategic Reserves, Imp Justice. So yeah, he had a lot of cards. Oh, Insignificant Rebellion. Thank you, Joker. So yeah, so David was our winner this week. Huh?
got an Emperor's Power on the throne room. He's got Image. He's got Field
Yeah.
Promotion.
Yeah, those counted. So congrats to David for successfully completing this one. The next challenge, though, is a little easier.
Is it?
I think so. So
That's questionable.
it can be easier. So I know I have the wrong one, and I'm actually going to correct this. This was it's a different graphic. So this week's challenge is to blow up the Death Star, not the Death Star 2, but to blow up the Death Star with any Jedi Master. So you need cards like Attack Run. Obviously, you need the Death Star, so you're going to be running the Special Edition Death Star, and then just to blow it up with any Jedi Master. So you can use like Yoda, Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi, Plo Koon, Depa, Mace, anybody who's a pilot, and just blow up the Death Star. What do you think, Bill? You think that's pretty? It's going to be easy one.
That's tough because you got to win the game too, right?
I don't.
That's going to be tough. How many times has MBO won in the last year?
Not enough.
Other than Eric.
Not enough. Yeah, so you have to
I
win a
would say
game.
if
You have to
blow
win the
away
game.
the Death Star,
You do have to win the game, and you do have to blow up the
tough.
Death Star. Oh, or you can.
tell you what, if you are
Oh, so not only could you blow up the Death Star, you could also blow up the Death Star 2. Either Death Star, blow them up.
that is allowed.
So both Death Stars.
Okay.
You do have to win.
All right. If you blow up a Death Star and you do not win the game and you're the first person to post in the thread, I will send you something because that's tough enough.
What are you going to send?
I don't know. What we got up here?
Ooh. Bill's
An
looking at
oversized legend
his treasure
objective.
trove.
Yeah. Send
So
you a deck box with my face on it.
that's a prize. So
That's a keeper.
So okay. So again, this week's challenge
find
is to
something.
blow up the Death Star and win. It can be either version of the Death Star. Bill says what? Bill, what is your stipulation?
You have to blow up the Death Star with a Jedi Master.
Yeah, blow up the Death
The
Star with
first
the
person
Jedi
to post
Master.
in the thread that does that.
So
You don't have to win for me.
So Bill has said you
Please,
don't have to
nothing.
win, but to win the
You
Holotheatre
have to
challenge,
add.
you have to win. Just make sure it's nothing Jets related. Apparently,
I tell you what I do have. I have an interesting knowledge and defense with what's the stadium called?
whoa! I made that specifically for you, Bill.
I got 2 of them though. I don't need 2 knowledge and defenses.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's for Joker King. If Joker King wins, that's what he gets.
That's fair. Okay, so we got a few last things to talk about. We'll talk about a brief. So the OCS playoffs are still going on right now. The bracket is current. As you can see, Connor Britton, Justin Desai, and Bastian Winkelhaus all have advanced. We are still waiting on Paul Myers and Eric Hunter for their results. As soon as they play, we will let you know. They are. So it's going to be a weeknight, or it's going to be sometime this week whenever they do play. So we will let you know. Round
We're gonna
3.
try to cover that live as best we can as well.
Yeah,
I think myself and to Drew Lichtenstein are going to be on the lookout for when they say they're going to play, and we're going to try to get up on commentary for that.
I said I was going to Yeah, I think it's between the three of us who are
Yeah.
available.
Between the three of us, someone will cover it.
Yeah, so don't worry. He will have coverage of that. Yeah. Outside of that, I think pretty good show tonight, Bill. What do you say?
It's tough being the host. I like being the guest. You just ask me questions and I talk, and now I gotta like lead discussions, direct where the show's going. It's
Right?
tough.
It
Nothing but
is
respect
hard.
for you guys.
Oh, you have more respect for me?
I said nothing but respect.
Oh. Now I feel honored. Okay, so yeah, I think that's going to be a wrap for this week's show. Actually, no, we forgot one other thing. We're going to talk about a quick deck idea. So we do have a new Watch Your Step coming out. However, if you're looking to go old school and you're looking to play a new variant of Watch Your Step, I believe Mike Gem has come out and created an interesting version of Watch Your Step.
Well, Mike Gem made this deck like 20 years ago.
Yeah, but it's still viable. People still play it.
Absolutely. So this is I saw it was from Angle King was playing it on Gemp, on Gem, whatever you want to, hard G, soft G. But the Nightfall Watcher Step, definitely an interesting one. I remember playing this way back in the day. We were looking at ways that you could put unconventional characters into Watch Your Step. So you had the Nightfall list that had Lando with Axe and Boosh and pick a spy at that point. So had the Panic Watch Your Step where you're just deploying stuff for free all over the place. Definitely interesting. This one now kind of took a little hit because of what's the dark side version of Goldenrod, Imperial Detainment?
Yes.
That's yeah, so you're going to pay 2 for your guys, but that's still pretty good, especially with the caliber spies you can put in there now. I mean, you have Cassian, you have Jin, you have Leia Organa Virtual, you have Ezra. It's going to be good against that new Hunt Down Virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a ton of guys you can put in there now. I would definitely... So I think the deck that Angle King is playing, he definitely leaned into the nighttime conditions. Because I saw there were at least 3 of those 2XK something droids. What is the actual thing for that? It's right here. 2x 3k PR. Here we go. So I even could look to take this a step further, right? So you have a bunch of rebels that you can play now that are spies. We know that because no idea has been a thing for the past year. You have a couple 2x 3k PR. I remember this time. You can look at adding Obi-Wan, who can't have his deploy increased. You can play a Luke, Jedi Luke. And you can really lean into a card we saw very prominently in the OCS semifinals and finals, and that's Jedi Presence. And so if you weren't scared enough to face Watch Your Step already, now you're looking at like Power 14 Cassian coming at you. Not something you would have expected when the game started.
Yeah. I mean, it's not relatively difficult to get the Nightfall just because you have cards like Walkling. But it is cancelable with just regular Gick. So, I mean, if you're willing to spend your Gick on canceling Nightfall, more power to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to deploy another one. It's fine. It's not
True.
unique.
Okay, so I think that's going to be a wrap for us tonight. Again, I want to thank Bill for sitting in the co-host chair. And I want to thank Matt Lutz for coming on as our guest, Kendall for interviewing Kevin Jaap. We will see everybody with more Star Wars content and same time, same Twitch channel next week. Until then, take care, everybody. Good night.